So, joining me on the Lewis Nichols show today, I'm excited to bring on my next guest. So, let's say hello to Mark Haskins. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Really good, thanks. How are you coping with lockdown?
I feel terrible for saying this, but I am loving life right now. Yeah, I think I'm unsociable at the best of times. So genuinely, I'm having a great time.
I actually didn't realise till we just spoke before that you're actually in the UK. I just assumed you lived in America.
Yeah, I think everybody assumed that. Like, I remember when I first got announced for Ring of Honor, a lot of my UK bookings just dropped off, and I think it's because everyone thought I'd moved across the pond. But I didn't. Ring of Honor had said, like, if you want to move out here, we can, help you with this. And I was like, going into the deal, I wanted to stay in the UK because knowing my luck, I'd relocate my entire family halfway across the world, get fired within a month, and then have to turn around and come back again. So yeah, we're putting off the move to America for now.
So, with Ring of Honor, can you still work like British promotions and still do events here?
Yeah, I'm a US exclusive to Ring of Honor, but I can work everywhere else in the world.
Hopefully, when people watch this, they'll realise that they can still book you and you still live here, and hopefully get you back on the indies.
Hey, maybe.
I wanted to kind of go through to the very beginning for you, which is where your love and passion for wrestling actually came from. Was it something that you grew up loving? Like, how did it come about?
When I was 9 years old, I had a best friend who I remember he brought around a VHS at the time of it was Bad Blood '97. Um, And I remember I got bullied a lot at this at school. So seeing Shawn Michaels getting beaten up by the Undertaker, being the bigger boy, who the bigger, scarier kid kind of thing, I think I just sort of emotionally related to that of just getting your ass kicked, but somehow he came out on top. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of like when I fell in love with wrestling because it was like the world where where anything was possible. And then just from there, like the passion just kind of grew. And yeah, my parents are still waiting for me to grow out of it now.
It's one of those things people always kind of talk about it. Like, yeah, I used to like wrestling when I was a kid, and they just assume it's a kid thing, but it isn't. And I've had arguments with people before where I kind of say, "Do you watch the Game of Thrones?" And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Well, it's the same thing. It's entertainment."
Right.
It's
Right. It's a
frustrating.
different source of form of entertainment. And
Yeah.
there's those who love it and there's those who don't.
So for you, where did that moment come from, liking it as a fan, to actually kind of right, I'm going to pursue this as a career and get training?
So back, I think when I was 15, the UK had the FWA, and I remember going to a lot of their shows. They were the first company to bring over guys like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, CM Punk, Colt Cabana, guys like that. And just at one of their shows, I approached a tape trader at the back of the hall and said, "Do you have any information of anywhere that I could train?" He handed me this brochure, and in it was about the FWA Academy, which was based in Portsmouth at the time. And I just kind of figured if I'm serious about this, I'm going to make the effort to travel to the place where they're turning out the talent that I'm watching on shows. Like, I want to be like them, therefore I've got to train like them. So, yeah, I started when I was 15. The first year was sort of only being able to make it once a month or so because I was still at school. My dad is a preacher for the United Church as well, and because training was on Sundays, we could only make it down sort of once a month when he wasn't preaching. So yeah, he'd take me down, bless him, and it just kind of started from there. Eventually moved out down to Portsmouth when I was 18, and just continued to push myself and just train and take things more seriously and just try and work my hardest to try and make a go at this. Like, I figured you only get one shot at life, right? So you might as well do something that you love and really make a go of it.
Were your family supportive of it, or were they kind of a little bit nervous that right, he's going to go train and he could get hurt? Like, what were their reactions towards it?
So I think my mum was nervous, but she also was super supportive because she didn't have the support of her family when she wanted to sort of chase her dreams. So she said that no matter what, when we have kids, like, I want to support them no matter what it is that they want to do. And if I don't like it, I don't like it, but I want them to be happy. So they've really helped me out across the years, bless them. They're the best parents ever. So I've got like big shoes to fill when I'm trying to, be a parent to my kids now. I'm like, I have to be like better than them. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. But no, they were super cool about it. My mum was super nervous. Even still, like when she comes to shows, if she sees me getting beaten up, she wants to jump the guardrail and deck the guy. Do you know what I mean? I think that mothering instinct never goes away. I really want to see her do it one day as well, because she's such a sweetheart, bless her. Imagine like Dawn French in The Vicar of Dibley, right? She's kind of like this sweet little country bumpkin. And just to see her like, yeah, just flying Yakuza someone would make my day.
That sounds like a main event that would sell out in any promotion.
Yeah. Big Van Walter versus Brenda Haskins.
So who actually trained you then? Who would you kind of say, this is the person that actually trained me to be a wrestler?
Mark Sloan, who ran the FWA Academy, he closed the FWA Academy in late 2006 and then kept a group of us on from, I think it was about 2007 through to 2011, 2012. Yeah, it was a hectic schedule. We were training 4 gym mornings a week. Then we'd have 3 evenings a week in a ring. 2 of them would be 3-hour sessions from 6 till 9. And then another one was from like 6 to 8. And then after that, we'd go and do gymnastics training and yeah, numerous other things. And when we weren't training, we were, going to shows, helping set up shows that we weren't a part of. But it's what you do when you start out. It's like you try and get your foot through the door, right? You put in that graft, you have to get your name out there and sort of, get people to give you that opportunity. And once they give it to you, then that's up to you to make good on it and show them that you're worth something. So yeah, it was a long process. It's like character building time, where you just feel like you're constantly traveling, you're constantly busy. I had zero social life for years. Like if I wasn't working, I was sleeping. So it was a busy few years, but it set me up with the career that I've had so far. So I guess something worked.
I mean, I've been a fan of wrestling for years, and you kind of just have this idea that wrestlers have this amazing life. They get to come in, do their show. But I did some help behind the scenes work at a promotion here in Gloucester, and I couldn't believe the work that you guys put in, the traveling, and then all scrunched up in one car to save petrol costs from expenses. And you do this and you go to another venue tomorrow. It's a lot of hard graft, isn't it? To really
promoters are tight asses as well, man. If they can fit you in a car with 10 other guys, they'll fit you in it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot of long travel. It's being very uncomfortable a lot of the time. Like in a good way, I mean, like by being pushed into a back seat somewhere. But I swear that the travel screws you up more than the actual wrestling. Like the 20 minutes getting dropped on your head is a breeze compared to being sat in a car for like 4 hours with your bag on your lap, like kind of like this. Do you know what I mean? So it's an interesting lifestyle. I appreciate getting to travel just by myself now. Is why I love being a driver, is because then that way, like, you definitely know you're not going to have somebody else sat on your lap.
I wanted to talk about you teaming with Joel Redman and actually how that all came about. Did you guys just have like a natural chemistry and it just seemed to work?
We lived together. So when he and I both moved to Portsmouth in 2007, he was moving from Devon. I'm originally from Oxfordshire. So we were moving out at the same time. So we just figured it was easy if we got a flat between us and his partner at the time. Then that way we could, split costs and everything. And I think we lived together for about 18 months. Drove each other mad during that time. Lived together, trained together, worked out together, like literally did everything together. So when we were put together as a team, it just kind of felt like it was very, I don't know, it was kind of like a brotherly bond to like some extent. Do you know what I mean? So it was, we would just lived in each other's shadows and that's, I guess, that helped us as a team in some regards, but it's also kind of like a detriment in the same way that you just can't escape that person all the time. And I'm sure we drove each other insane there.
And I mean, back kind of 10 years ago with you as a team, it was harder for British guys to kind of break out to different promotions across the world. And you've both done it, with him being with NXT and all the work that you've done. So do you think that like you two worked well together because you're both very driven, because you've both gone out and done amazing things?
We're very similar, but we're very different. We're both, come from sort of farming backgrounds. He's a lot bigger than I was. It felt like his strengths were the things that were my weakness and vice versa, which I think kind of felt like it added a lot more to the team because we were almost like the polar opposites. But like you said, we were both driven at the same time. So we kind of had this sort of common ground that we could both work on, but also we were different enough that, you know, it added like a different sort of dimension to what we were about.
And I wanted to talk about your time with TNA and actually how that all came about. Did they reach out to you? Like, how did it all come together?
So for 2010, I was on tours out in Japan with Dragon Gate, and then I was home from sort of September onwards, and they had a January tour in the UK coming up, and some of Europe. So I just got an email one day. They'd seen, I guess they'd seen some of my stuff from Japan. Doug, I think, had put my name forward. They were interested in using me, and I just got to be a part of the tour from there. And it was quite crazy experience actually on my first night. We had a house show in Lyon, France, I think, and I expected it would just be me against some local wrestler, just so they could kind of get an idea of what I was about. And it ended up being a tag match with myself and Shannon Moore against Jeff Jarrett and Matt Hardy, with Kurt Angle as a special guest referee. And I just remember just kind of being stood there looking around and being like, wow, this is super weird. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you're right, Kurt, I used to have a toy of you. Do you know what I mean? Like, all right, let's go to work. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it was a crazy experience. It was really cool, though. Yeah, I got to hang out with a lot of them, got to room with Matt Morgan, which is an experience. And, yeah, it was great.
Why was it? Because it was quite a short time that you were there. So how come you didn't kind of go there longer? Did your contract expire? How did it all come about?
It's a very messy situation, basically, where yeah, like I was kept at home for about a year or so because I was on a per appearance deal. My wife and I got pregnant in 2012. I tried to renegotiate my deal. That took a series of months. And then finally, by the time that the contract was renegotiated and signed, I think I was under contract for about a month before they decided to release me, because I told them that I wanted to stay in the UK and look after my wife, because we were approaching our due date. So they were like, well, we can't hold your contract for that long. We're going to cancel it. Give us a call once the baby's born and we'll re-sign you. And I was just, at that point, I'd had enough of them.
Yeah.
I've been pushed around the office by everybody. Yeah, I had zero faith in them at that point. And I just kind of decided to carry it and just go off on my own way. So, yeah, I've been doing me ever since.
And you mentioned a little bit before Dragon Gate, and I wanted to talk about, because a load of people that I've been talking about have such like passion when they talk about wrestling in Japan. So what do you like about wrestling in Japan? What's so different about it?
It just, you kind of feel like there's a bit of a curveball there, because the crowd seems to react in a different way. Like, they're quiet, you know, traditionally they're more quiet. They kind of applaud only ever so often. But then when they really, if they're super into a match and you have them in the palm of your hand and they come completely unglued, like, you really feel like they're super that involved in it, that they've gone from being silent to being like fever pitch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there's that aspect. I guess as well, I mean, it's cool, isn't it, to say that you've wrestled somewhere on the other side of the planet? Yeah, it's awesome. Like, I had a great time out there. Yeah, the summers are boiling hot, and when the venues don't have air conditioning, that really, tests you mentally. But yeah, apart from that, I guess it's just another day at the office, isn't it?
And didn't you work with the Young Bucks in Japan as well?
Yeah,
Wow.
so I don't think it was in Japan. I've wrestled the Young Bucks. It was, gosh, this is a crazy match now. So in Germany in WXW, I think it was 2009. It was Tommy End, also known as Aleister Black, and myself versus the Young Bucks in a tag match for their Dragon Gate show of that year, which was crazy. I remember, like, from that time, there was so many matches which I wish I could redo now. Like, if you had the four of us now, that would be a completely different match. Like, I remember wrestling Tommy End, Al Generico, or Sami Zayn, and myself. We were in a triple threat match. Like, I'd love to have that match again now, and sort of see what we're now capable of.
Do you follow the Young Bucks and what they're doing in AEW? Because they're kind of just on this massive, riding this, wave and smashing it.
Not really, man. Like, I'm a total hermit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I disappear to my quiet corner of the earth, and I go to me. Like, I've been sort of keeping an eye on it from afar, and like, I'm super happy that they're, things are going well for them.
Was WWE ever an ambition of yours? Because you speak to a lot, I've spoke to a lot of people that kind of, that's always been their dream. For you, was that your dream, or did you just like wrestling in general, whether that was in Japan, whether that's an Impact, Ring of Honor, like, what's your stance on that?
Well, I wanted to be the most successful WWE champion ever. And you know, we'll see if one day that happens to be the case.
So you wouldn't rule out working for them?
Well, who knows? My commitment, my loyalty right now is to Ring of Honor. They've
Yeah.
really taken care of me. I really appreciate my spot here. And it's been great to see what they've done over the last few months, because how they're really trying right now to prove how much they care for their talent. You know, they're putting into place concussion protocols that, working with guys that they haven't previously worked with, like Chris Nowinski. They've made catering backstage. We've been called out. They've flown us out for talent meetings so we can sit down and discuss where we see the future of the company going. And a lot of the ideas that came out of that meeting is something that they've now implemented. You know what I mean? I really feel like they're a dark horse in the wrestling world right now. And I love being a part of Ring of Honor. And, I would love to see where a future with them would potentially lead to.
And the thing is with Ring of Honor, if you're a true wrestling fan, that's the ideal promotion to watch, because the talent that they have and the matches that they put on, it's just, you'll be lucky to see that in some of the flagship promotions. It's just incredible. So for you to work with like-minded wrestlers like yourself, does that kind of spur you on a little bit and give you more motivation to work with such amazing people?
Absolutely. I'll tell you this right now, like the entire locker room of Ring of Honor are super motivated to put on the best product that they can. Everybody that I speak to is ready to go to war, literally, and to put on the best shows that they possibly can. And to be around people like that is super motivating. I'd hate to be in any kind of environment where people just go around and just kind of hate their jobs and they're just doing what it is that they do to get by. Like, I want to be with a group of guys that, are passionate, that love this, that are really striving to make a difference. And that's what I feel that Ring of Honor have right now. And that's what, I love being a part of. From top to bottom, the entire crew is fantastic. Like, they're really putting in the work that they can to see where we can take the company in the next few years and beyond.
And what was it like working with Bully Ray?
It was cool. I found kicking Bully Ray is very therapeutic. So that aspect of things. And yeah, I mean, it's super cool as well. Like, he's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer, man. Like, he's last of a dying breed, unfortunately. If you get the chance to get into the ring with somebody like that, why wouldn't you, take it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a guy who's been there and done it. In the past 20 years, he's worked for every major wrestling promotion that there's been. So I kind of figured this guy might know a thing or two. And, getting to be in the ring with him, I feel like I might have picked up a thing or two as well.
And for you so far, because it's kind of very early on, what's your standout moment from your time so far in Ring of Honor? Something that you just always have fond memories about?
Oh gosh, kicking Bully Ray's one. Kicking Mark Scurll is another. I've had a lot of cool experiences. I've made a lot of friends over the past year or so that I've been with the company. It's been great. One of my fondest memories, and this is probably bad, but so basically I had a match with Marty Scurll in Texas, right? And he had like the worst upset stomach ever, and like he needed to go to the bathroom, but we were on next, and I was like, don't worry, Marty, like, you've got time. I'll take time with my entrance. You can go, right? He's like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. So he goes off. My music played. I have never hit the ring quicker in my life, right? Like, the Ultimate Warrior can have caught up with me. Like, I sped to the ring in, arms up, arms down, turn around, face the entranceway, gave them no reason to keep a camera on me. It switches to him. His music starts playing. Apparently, as soon as he just sat down on the toilet, he heard his music start and he freaks out. So I'm in the ring and I just found it hilarious. And yeah, he's taking a long entrance and there everyone's like, wow, he's really taking his time. He's really making them work. No, he's in the bathroom. Lol. But apart from that, we work in a very professional environment. And
what did he say afterwards to that? Like when you got backstage?
He didn't say anything. He was just like, oh, Haskins. Do you know what I mean? It was just kind of like a roll your eyes and like, oh, this guy. But
What do you think of the British wrestling scene as it is today? Because it must have changed from, say, 10 years ago when you were on the independent circuit. So have you noticed a massive change? Because you've got NXT UK now, you've got more opportunities to go abroad.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. When I started out, there wasn't really any guys going abroad. I think it was Doug Williams, and then soon after that, Pac started to go out, to America and Japan, and it's been insane to see how far everything's come in this past 5-10 years or so. It's you can make a living on the UK scene now, which definitely didn't feel like the case sort of like when I started out. And it's been great to see. I really feel like it's a collective effort from everybody. Like it feels like a new generation of, whether it be wrestling fan, wrestler, promoter, auxiliary roles, people who help out backstage. Like there's this new wave of people that have all come in, and we've all somehow managed to sort of channel our passions into making something that has boomed up in our face, and it's been great.
And with Ring of Honor, is there anything you can tell us, a bit of a kind of exclusive, or what we can expect from you going forward?
Well, Marty Scurll is one of my very good friends, and like when I say friend, right, like we're mates, but I also enjoy kicking him really hard. It's like one of those kind of friendships, you know what I mean? Like the friend that you just love to slap. So Marty Scurll's my best friend, and that means that I'm gonna be in his ear a lot, and I'm gonna tell him about the direction of how I think the company should go, and that's basically just relocating to the UK. Like I'm fed up of traveling to America every 2 weeks. Let's make it happen. So we'll see where it goes, but I can promise you exciting times are ahead.
Mark, it's been brilliant talking to you, and just hearing your stories about especially the UK, and kind of how you grew up liking wrestling. And you said you were bullied as well growing up. So does wrestling, in a sense of getting to be a character or be someone different for that little bit of time, did that help you in that sense?
I don't know. I just think it was something that I related to. Like I remember there was one incident in particular where I think I got punched in the nose when I was playing football as a kid, and like any my nose just busted. Like any other kid, I went running, crying to my mum. And I think like there was something about like being the kid with long blonde hair covered in blood, and then seeing Shawn Michaels being like the smaller kid with long blonde hair covered in blood, getting beaten up by the scarier, bigger boy being the Undertaker, right? Like there was something that kind of like linked me there. So I was like, oh, but he can win. Like this is the world where like the small guy can win, basically, right? So there was something that I guess kind of subconsciously connected for me in that regard. And I just felt like it was kind of like a little world that you could almost escape to, like I wasn't the most popular kid at school. Like, I'm a loner. Like I spend a lot of time to myself, and I just spent hours of my life just kind of like going down this wrestling rabbit hole, and getting well and truly stuck, and left here all these years later. But I guess it was just something that I connected with. I've always loved sort of more like I enjoyed watching things like MMA. I enjoyed following boxing. I played rugby a lot when I was at school. Kind of like things that are a lot more how can I say, like, I don't want to say aggressive, that's a wrong word, but things are very physical, at least. Like it's I guess it just kind of something that I got stuck with.
Well, it's been great talking to you. It's just nice that we can put on Ring of Honor and see someone from the UK doing so well, flying the flag for us along with your friends. So thanks for talking to us today and sharing your career with us.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Cheers.